Welcome to Morning Space Chats. I am Zadikat, aka Sun Portal, and you are
Dread Pirate KK.
The video version of our morning show is available on Spotify, and the audio is through iTunes or other podcast platforms. If you have been listening to our podcast, watching us, and enjoying it, do feel free to give us a good review somewhere, or 5 stars on iTunes or whatever. That will also always help us find more people.
You're so good at introducing this. You're so good at introducing all of this. I'm just like, yeah, that's yes. I'm drinking actually water today right now because I've had 3 cups of bitches brew already.
But from your volcanic mug,
yes,
made by your mother.
Yeah, in the 70s, she made this in a pottery. I don't know if it was a pottery class or just a pottery workshop or something. And my grandmother has had it ever since. And then when my grandmother died, I got a lot of her mugs for some reason. And this was one of them. And it's really cool. It's like, yeah, very volcanic energy. This orange and the speckly. And
it's got like a wider base kind of thing. And it's, orange with red speckles. Which, speaking of volcanoes, I went to the art gallery in Toronto 2 days ago, and there was this amazing, it wasn't just audio, but it was like primarily audio piece. It was called Obsidian, and I can't remember the person's actual name, but they're like the main musician or singer of the Icelandic band Sigur Rós. I'm not sure if that's how they're actually pronounced. And they had not been able to be in Iceland in 2021 when there was an active volcano going off with lava and everything. Very exciting. They weren't able to be there because of COVID. So he tried to recreate the experience, and it was so soothing. You were sitting in a dark room. Sometimes there was like a circle, your light above where the bench where you sat, but it was very low, and then sometimes it was off. So sometimes you were just in pitch black and you were surrounded by speakers 360. And it was, some of the music was kind of a little bit more intense, but then it just went into like more soundscape, and it created vibrations under the seats. And then they were piping in smells. And I was talking with you about this yesterday. I don't know what kind of new smell technology there is, but it just was so subtle, and it could come and go, and it didn't feel like essential oils or incense, and it was like these smoky woodsy smells. And I was there with my dad, and it put us both into a full trance, and like felt like a spa treatment somehow. And we came out, we were just like, oh my god, it was incredible. So
fuck yes.
What I learned was that an active fiery volcano can be deeply, deeply soothing.
Yes. It doesn't have to be crazy disruptive or overwhelming to the nervous system. It can be, a pleasant experience, which is interesting for volcano energy because we do not expect that out of a volcano. It's like, actually, your old stories can make way for new stories. Thank you very much.
And I'm drinking homemade cucumber basil water, which is my new obsession. Sometimes I put a little ginger in it. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about. A few things today, including Lemurian Time and fun TV shows and some magical miracle stuff. But I wanted to talk about Lemurian Time first because you started coining the phrase, and having the presence of mind and mental space and energy to make cucumber basil water feels like living on Lemurian time for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You, I believe, started saying it when you were at the music festival in Florida, the Mothership one that we talked about on another episode.
Yeah. I was with my friend Katie and her daughter Ellis for a lot of it because we were the only ones who had tickets. And anyway, we would do things while her husband and son went off to do other things. And so we would go to like get ice cream or popsicles or coffee or just walk around because we had time during the day to kill before, going to the festival at night. And I was telling her all about this stuff. Like I just threw her right in the fire, like Lemuria, Atlantis, aliens, galactic heritage, all the things that she was just like, wow. She kept up with me pretty well. It was pretty awesome. And so one of the things I was telling her about was that when we were walking with Ellis, who's like, a year and a half, kids move at their own pace, and like, it's very Lemurian time. And I kept saying that. I was like, wow, we really feel like we're just on Lemurian time. And it just it came to me. So thank you, Ellis, for helping me coin that. Cause we would pass we went to this one place for coffee and popsicles. Oh my God, these popsicles were like gourmet. It does not even cover it. Like, it was like fruit juice. They had some that were like birthday cake and things, clearly with like dairy that I couldn't eat, but the ones that I could eat had fruit juice in them. And it felt like real fruit juice. And they were like actual strawberries in the popsicle. I mean, it was so fucking good. And then it was attached to this place that we were at for those popsicles and coffee. It was like a mall, like an outdoor mall. And one of the shops had bubbles blowing outside the store just for whatever, just aesthetic or what. And it was just so soothing and pleasing. And Ellis, of course, was like standing in the bubbles, just like, oh my God, and we just didn't move. Like we could have tried to, keep making her walk forward or, like, oh, we've been here long enough, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, no, we just stayed there as long as she wanted to stay there. And we were ready to move on when we moved on. And Katie also started using the term Lemuria time after that. She's like, I guess we are on Lemuria time. It was really nice to be able to spread that around. So it's good energy.
It's interesting. If somebody's never heard of Lemuria before, like,
oh yeah,
the lost civilization / era of Atlantis, and then like a partner civilization era of Lemuria, which was very slow moving, very connected to the rhythms of the earth, had a lot of if you see giants, references to giants, that's very Lemurian, and very peaceful feeling energy. But when you were talking about it, I was like, it just feels so luxurious. It's like we've come to think of moving through life very slowly as a luxury, even though it's just like the most natural way to exist on the planet. But yeah, it has a nice, I mean, it does feel nice and luxurious when you tap into it.
Yeah, just moving slowly.
I was thinking about, because there's a young Robin. It seems like he's just like new to adulthood, and just yesterday he was being very friendly. I came up to the front door and he was sitting on a little ledge right outside, and like he didn't fly away or anything. He just kind of looked at me. And I find Robins typically they don't usually interact that much with humans. They just more like observe. They act like you're not even there. They just kind of do their own things. But he was like, well, he was very much like, hello. And then I was on the back deck that evening with Mike, and he came back and he was standing on the railing of the deck, just kind of being like, hey. And then that was making me think about bird watching and connecting with birds, and how bird watching is a real gateway drug for Lemurian time.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
Yeah, because if you haven't hit your bird watching era of life, it's probably coming for you. It started like maybe like 6 or 7 years ago for me and Mike, but it was very gradual. But it's like you just like at least for me, I grew up around nature, but I wasn't so enthralled by it. So it's like it just gradually sucks you in more and more, because you start to notice like really beautiful, vibrant birds, and then you're like, suddenly you've bought binoculars and you're like going out, and all you're doing is being in the woods, like doing a Where's Waldo in the woods, trying to find birds. And it's just got you like your entire focus is on nature. And then you start finding yourself noticing all like the different types of trees, and like being able to like tell varieties of trees, and like learning bird calls. And it's it's just like awesome. A really good like I don't want to say MLM scheme, but it's like a really good scheme for getting human beings into to slow down and like enjoy being. It's like gamified nature a little bit.
That's a good point.
And you've
watching era.
you're in your bird watching era now because you've got like actual bird house, like you have a house for a wren.
Yeah, and a bird feeder.
And a bird
Earlier
feeder.
in the winter, when I first moved in, a couple months after I moved in, it was like I got a nudge to feed the birds, and I was like, "Oh, what? Like, I don't do that. I don't care about." It's not that I don't care about birds, but I just like they can take care of themselves. I don't need to put any effort into it. And it's like, no, you're actually going to be putting out food. So I got a feeder and some sunflower seeds. So that was what started it. And then I got wren houses, and yeah, it's really nice to sit. I call
And
it
the
my
wren
office because
came,
it's so
which is
nice.
like,
Yeah,
that doesn't always like it's all
yeah.
very much falling into place because it's not always a case for everybody. But as soon as they put up a wren house, they get a wren. You know?
I
Like
know.
it was like, yeah.
I definitely expected it to take like a year or so or something, like, or if it ever came, you know, but it was pretty much within a month or so after I put it up, they found their little home there. And it's like, oh my God, I feel really special because it's on my porch. Like I sit there in the morning, like I sit there a lot. It's not like I'm far away from it, but like, anyway, it's really cool that they trust me enough to join the little family on the porch. Feels nice to be included.
It's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
I have a funny story related to bird watching, which is like extremely classic my mom story. Where okay, I wrote it down exactly. This is exactly the way she said it. We're on the phone talking about nothing related to anything. I don't even think we were talking about anything related to birds. And she says, "Have you ever heard of the word jism?" And I was like, yeah. And she said, "It's a good phrase, isn't it? I'm glad it exists." And then I was like, "What do you think it means?" And then she was like, she's like, "Wait, what?" And then she looks it up. She's like, "Jism." She's like, "Oh, wait, that means semen. I meant jizz. Oh, wait, that also means semen." And then she's just like, "Not that there's anything wrong with good old semen." Anyway, I was like, "Yeah,
oh
so
my
we
God.
don't be disparaging semen." But it turns out that jizz is a bird watching term for like the general appearance or like gestalt of a bird. And
that sounds like
she
that
had
has
like
just been made up.
I know, and she had just heard it on the radio anyway because
oh my God,
my life is like constantly turning back the same reality to me. Cut to, I open YouTube and there's an interview with a woman comedian that I'd just seen on a British TV show. And I was like, okay, I'll watch that. And then she was telling a story about the like taking a bird, going for a bird watching class, and then the very nerdy instructor being like, now like writing jizz on the board. He's like, "People always laugh when I do that, and I don't know why." So
I don't know why. Okay, this guy needs to. Okay. That's pretty hilarious, though. What a adorable sounding person. I'm glad he exists, but also, okay, dude.
And my mom too. I have my mom's settings to very hilarious things like that. She's often, she'll be like, I had a lovely threesome the other day with,
oh my God.
She'll mention two friends that she went to lunch with, or she one time she was like, she was talking to Mike about how I took some boxing classes when I was a teenager, and she was like, "Oh, did you tell Mike how your coach had fingered you
oh my God.
to go pro?" Which
okay,
also
your mom
he
is
had not
hilarious.
fingered me to go pro, but yeah. Anyway, that's my mom.
Funny.
That's my mom's.
That is pretty fucking funny. She always has some interesting messages for us when she does.
Yes. Oh yeah. I get. Yeah. My mom like reads encyclopedias for fun and stuff, so she'll just text the most random things, but then of course they're like completely like synchronistic to whatever's going on, but like it can range from all over the place to just threesomes Lord, like some old piece of history. Yeah, she's a trip.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say about bird watching and how it gets you into trees is that the bird watching gateway drugged me into spending a lot more time around trees. And then I had this amazing revelation with trees, which is you can do crazy foot reflexology. I think I've talked to you about this before on yourself by standing on tree roots. And when I first started, my feet were so sensitive. I think I was still in deep healing, purging, shadow, whatever. So the soles of my feet were like excruciatingly sensitive. So I would just kind of gently, like you take your, you do it with your bare feet and you just like find a root that's coming out of the ground or multiple roots and just like, it's like they're perfectly designed. Like you just like ease your foot on and then like find the right position. And it's like the most amazing foot massage ever because you can use your own body weight. So now that I've built up more tolerance, I'm like doing like super, super deep tissue stuff. Anyway, I'm just mostly standing in the park on top of a tree, like moaning in the park. I was just doing it before I came in because I took a walk and I was like, because I found this sweet spot and it was like, anyway, that is my hot tip is find a tree near you and just go do that and just do it like, whenever you feel like it, but keep doing it because it just gets better and better and better. And it releases so much. And I think I've talked about this before, but the soles of our feet, it's like that little, they like puns. So it's like portals to our souls. So we tend to accumulate a lot of stuff there that's on its way out soul wise. So it can really do a lot for you.
That's a really good reminder. I'm glad you said that on the recording because I know we've talked about it, but I don't think we've said it on any of our podcasts. So always with the hot tips, Zadikat.
Yeah, I love trees so very much. They are so nice. They are such a blessing. You have a new / old cat who blipped in from.
So weird. Yes. I think I've said this on the podcast before, but when I first moved in here back in October of 2022, my mom had brought 3 rescue cats that had already been fixed and had their shots and all the things. I didn't need to do anything, but she was going to leave them as barn cats. One of those barn cats is Bert, who now fucking comes inside because, of course, it's what happens when you have cats. Everybody knows. But the other 2 sort of just blipped out of dimension. Like they just didn't come around. I kept putting out food. I would put it out every day, but they just eventually stopped coming around and nobody was eating the food. So I stopped putting food out. And then the other day, I thought I had a glitch in the matrix where I was seeing 2 Berts, but then, there was a third one. And so I sent a picture to my mom and I was like, is this one of the cats you dropped off for me? And she's like, oh yeah. And it never got named. It was called Purr Button because it purrs she purrs a lot, but it looks a lot like Bert, but definitely more gray, like more, she's still a tigery or tabby or whatever the fuck the word is, but has more gray. And she's got these looks like she's got eyeliner on, like that goes straight back
so far. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
So far. It's really beautiful. And she and Guinan do not like each other right now. They had a screaming fight. So I don't know what's up with that, but I'm just going to put the food out and let them sort out their drama and let her hang around. But it's nice to have it's a lot of male energy out here. And now I have this female cat and I'm like, oh, cool. We got a difference of a frequency here. So we'll see how that goes. But
her name,
Zadikat, I got the name
Morgana, which was cool.
I was just thinking before you said that, and I told you this when Art called, but I was just thinking before you said that, I was like, oh, she needs like a Fae sounding name. And then literally 2 seconds later, you were like, Morgana is coming through. And I was like, oh my God, of course it is.
And perfect. Her eyes are so dramatic. It gives her a very Egyptian look, which is interesting too. Yeah. New energy, very different energy from Bert and Guinan. So really, really, and she it was the winter and you were putting out food and she wasn't coming in. Like that cat was in another dimension. She blipped out and she blipped back in. But you did have the thing with Guinan. So I wanted to talk more about the psychedelic reality and how the weirdness has been playing out in our lives. So you had the thing with Guinan being inside and then outside.
It's definitely happened a couple of times where either Bert or Guinan, I think I let them out or I let them in, you know, whatever. And then all of a sudden it'll be something completely opposite. So it's happened a couple of times, but the most recent time, it's been a few months since it's happened, but I let Guinan in to eat food, or they come in, they spend most of their time outside right now because it's such nice weather, but they come in to eat. And then I looked out the window and Guinan was outside and I was like, okay, clearly I know this is obviously a glitch in the matrix, but just for my own mental peace, I just want to make sure there's no holes in my house. Like maybe because the windows are patched up with cardboard, you know, anyway. So like, let me just see. So I went upstairs and looked all around. The cardboard was still on the windows. Like there's no holes in the brick, you know, like it's totally fine. I was like, maybe the matrix will give me an out where it's like, oh, if there's a hole in there, of course it's not a glitch in the matrix. It's just a hole in the house. But no, there is nothing that I can, you know, write it off as, you know, other than a literal glitch in the matrix. It was a timeline merge or something where he hadn't actually come inside yet. And that's the timeline I ended up on or whatever happened. And it was weird, but also like, okay, moving on, like it's just getting easier and easier to move through those moments, the psychedelic reality. But
yeah. This is why you have to have such a relaxed attitude, because you're going to think your cat's inside and then it's actually outside. So if you're like, I say this as somebody who's been very control freaky in the past about like when I had outdoor cats, about when they were in and out, because I was like always stressed when they were out and stuff. But like you just can't. You just have to trust in the universe and in your cats and in everything, because you're not going to be able to like.
You can't control shit.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to be like, no, I know they're inside. It's like, no, now they are outside of me. What's funny is that actually reminds me. It's funny. My first kitty, who was such a soulmate and like a soul guardian, Whiskerindos, he learned how to open the back door that had type of handle that like you push in to lock and like twist, that kind, but he'd be able to unlock it and open it. And so he would just let himself out. I mean, talk about like heralding the future of like, no, you can't tell me
doing it myself.
Yeah. But it was like really like, because you'd be sitting in the family room and then there was the mudroom was right behind where the door was. And so then I just like, so I'd be watching TV and then I'd hear a click and I was like, ah. And then you go, it's like,
damn it. Actually, that would help me a lot if the cats could fucking open the door themselves, because then I wouldn't need a kitty door that would let in raccoons and possums and shit, but I wouldn't also have to keep opening, let themselves in and out and in and out. Like, I don't care, but I don't want to.
Yeah, cat doors exist for, yeah, that's true. That also reminds me, my mom had a raccoon come into her like 3rd-story apartment in Montreal. It's like a big raccoon was eating through the window, and it was eating the cat food.
Wow.
It ended up just leaving on its own, but it was like the middle of the night, and she was calling like the services, and they were like, "No, we don't." It's like, we don't know what to do. And she was like, "Well, what? I can't."
Somebody.
And the raccoon was just staring at her, and then it just kind of backed away and finally left. But
okay, that's hilarious.
The Adventures of My Mom are going to become a ongoing show. She also had in her bathroom in that same apartment, it was like a wildlife, something was going on with her in there, but it was like double paned windows, and in between a squirrel made its nest and had babies, so you could go into the bathroom and just see smooshed through the pane this little family of squirrels. That's so cool. Cute. Which, like, when do you get to see that, right? Like, they're always
never
inside trees and stuff. So
that's pretty remarkable. I'm impressed.
It was very magical.
It was really magical.
She had some kind of wildlife magical wonderland going on in that apartment.
Yeah, like Narnia over there.
It was a bit Narnia-ish. It was a strange apartment too. It had like a slanted, like when you walk. Anyway, I wrote a whole novel that was set in that building because it was really trippy. It had like underground tunnels that were scary.
Ooh, I'm gonna read that one.
Yeah. So those examples of psychedelic reality. My fridge is getting more and more magic. It started with lemons, where whenever I thought we'd run out of lemons. It always turned out we had like another lemon or another 2 lemons. And one time it really made sure that I knew, because you know, like your brain will be like, yeah, I probably just didn't realize how many lemons was, but I had just cleaned the fridge, which I never do. And so I knew exactly what was and wasn't in there. And then suddenly there were more lemons. And then it started doing it with tomatoes. And then the other day it did it with salsa, jars of salsa. We just had 2 unopened jars of salsa in the fridge that were, yeah. So
yes,
magic fridge of bounty is very,
fuck yes.
I love it.
I love that too. Let's bring that into my life. I could use some more oat milk. Thank you.
Oat milk would be, yes. I was just thinking about the matrix glitch. Our most incredible one, of course, was when we were in Mexico together. And if you haven't ever listened to that episode, you should check it out. I think it's called 2 KKs Walk Into a Mexican Bar. And
you know,
anyway, we were in the exact same physical location, but we were in different realities, so we couldn't see or hear each other. We were in the same place at the same time on a little
wild,
tiny mountaintop. And your version had different things in it than mine too, which was like a spot the difference thing, which was really
it was pretty wild, dude.
And I freaked the fuck out because my brain was not into
it was pretty wild, dude. It took me a minute. Like I feel like I might even still be processing it, kind of. I'm like, that really happened. Okay. Every so often I remember that. Like,
I think you had the version that was maybe a little easier for a brain to like rationalize around, because I had the version where I was literally screaming and screaming. So I was the one screaming, so I knew how loud I was screaming, and that anybody would have within like a mile would have heard me. But
definitely heard no screams. It was pretty wild.
That was a trip. And so this is kind of different, but I was walking in a new part of the woods, and the wind, like a gentle breeze, was kind of ruffling the leaves on this one branch of this tree. But then one of the leaves was going like this, and all the other leaves were just doing this. Like it was like totally, like it didn't physically go with how the wind was going. And I was looking at it and I was like, wait a second. That tree is like talking to me. Like it's like trying to get my attention, or something is talking to me through the tree or whatever. And then I was like, okay, I think I can do something here. So I started going, hi, and I would raise my hand up, hi, to see if I could get it from, it was like flapping back and forth really aggressively as opposed to the gentle rustling of the other leaves. But I wanted to see if I could make it like swoop upwards. And then it did, like just at the same time, it like mirrored me and it did a swoop. And then I was like, whoa. And then I was like, can I get it on camera? And I did it again 2 times where like we like stopped. And then I was like, hi. Also, it was me standing there going, hi to a tree and putting my hand up. And this man totally like walked like out like a little while away, saw me and was like, just backed away. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna stop. I can't stop right now. I'm doing like I'm conducting a very important experiment here. But yeah, I got it on video and it was really, really cool. Trippy and cool. And
if you did you post it on Instagram? Because if you did, we could put it in the show notes.
I should post it on Instagram. I haven't been doing anything on Instagram lately, but I should post that video because it's really cool because it like was going higher and higher. And I don't know, like
it's pretty cool.
It's just cool to be at the point where you're like in real time, you're like, I think I can do something, and then you do it, and then do it. It's happening. Yeah.
That's interesting because I felt like I had that experience yesterday with a chimney swift flew into my chimney And I was very distressed because I was like, it needs to get the fuck out. And I wanted it to be safe, or whatever, because I could hear it flapping around.
Oh my God.
And I was like, so I called in the Sunshine Yellow Dragons just because I was like, okay, we're not going to deal with that. I'll let them handle it. But then it kept doing it. And I think it was trying to get my attention or something. And so I was like, okay, I could feel my energy. Like, this is not a problem. It gets out and it's safe and it's totally fine. It flew out and was totally fine. Like, it was like wanting me to see something and try something similar to that. I literally just forgot about all that until just now when
That's
we're talking about the tree thing.
awesome.
Yeah. So it was like energy work, but also aligning with the reality where it was out of my chimney and flying away somewhere else. So I could feel the energy though. I could feel what I was doing. And I was like, I'm not really doing this, but I knew I was doing it at the same time. I was like, oh, I need to just flow with this reality too. So,
well, you have very strong connection to animals in terms of like animal communication and also just, I think, energy work with animals. So that doesn't surprise me that it wanted to like be like, hey, look what you could do. Like, let me show you what you can do. Like, you're always having like animals also fly into your house in a big flap. It's like a thing. I like that. That's a thing that you just random animals.
Yep, I've had a few birds. I've had a bat. Oh man, I just drawing them in. Thanks.
But yeah, I feel like these opportunities are presenting themselves more and more. I had one with the flames a few months back too, where it was in the middle of the night and the candle flame was like growing and growing.
I remember that one.
And there was nothing, and then it started dancing and there was no air movement at all. I wasn't even like breathing on it. It was like so still. And it was just, and then I just started like asking it to dance more, and it was going crazy. And I filmed that one too. Like when they're letting you,
it was really cool.
Film it was very cool.
It's really fun.
So be on the lookout for those types of opportunities. If they haven't already come your way, maybe they'll come your way.
Yeah, magic is everywhere. It's all the time. It's really nice.
I want to finally talk about this British TV show Taskmaster. But first,
a word from our sponsors.
Yes. Okay, this is a channeled word from our sponsors. It's a public service announcement from the Gnome realm.
Okay.
We are the gnomes. We wrote the ley lines. We don't look like garden gnomes. We do wear funny little hats because we like them. We are resting. The time for drudgery and toil has passed. Please stop answering texts while you eat. Please stop processing the breakup you've been processing for 4 years. Please stop watching television programs where you hate everyone in them. Please stop Googling nutritional information about your food. That one's for me. Please stop listening to your coworker vent about their dog's diarrhea problem. Please stop searching for answers to existential paradoxes. Please stop having bad sex. We are the gnomes. We are resting with the dragonflies. Join us.
Whoa. Thank you, gnomes, for sponsoring our show this week. Those were good messages. Coming through with the wisdom there.
Stern but fair.
Yeah. Sounds like very earth energy. Like, okay, listen, you're straight to the point. Don't do these things.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
once you
cool.
stop doing things that are you didn't realize were drudgery, you're just on an endless downward escalator of just discovering more things that were drudgery that you didn't think were drudgery. And then it's like having a huge like spring cleaning, and you're just like, oh
yeah,
okay, I'm also not going to do that. Anyway, the gnomes are
bringing it in. Spicy takes with the gnomes. Oh crap, before I forget anymore, I need to issue a correction from last episode where I said Venus went retrograde every 8 months. Oh, it's every 18 months. So it's way longer than 8 months. I knew it had an 8 in there, but I just had to correct it for the record because I don't like leaving mistakes out there. Continue. Oh, also today is the 15th, but we already, never mind. You post the date in the title. So
Oh
I'm
yes,
so used
today
to
is
saying that out loud.
June 15th. No, good call. Thank you. I need to include that in the show notes, so I remember to say it at the top of the show. Which is, we are in Orion Belt something, and it's definitely been doing stuff. It's playing out the way it's
yeah, there's some sort of alignment with Orion's belt. I don't know, this week, maybe it started over the weekend, I can't remember, but anyway, yeah, some big clearing going on.
Yeah, we've got the poops and peas to prove it.
Yeah. Basically.
I know that the Googling the nutritional information, that one was that I said was for me, stop Googling the nutritional information about your food. I know it's time to stop, because every time I get outside nutritional information about food, it's like outlandishly, like it's just like ridiculous. It's like, what? I saw this video, and this woman was like, well, there's this nutritionist who says that ideally you would get like 33 different fruits and vegetables every week in your diet. Like that would be your variety. And I was like, that's not possible. Especially if you want to like eat locally and like, seasonally and stuff. But it's not even like, that's not crazy. Possible. It's crazy. Like, it's literally crazy. Like I was like in a good week where I feel really good about myself and I'm eating lots of, it's like I would be at maybe like 12 or 13, like, in terms of variety. Like it is sheer madness. So anyway, the point of that popping up in reality was to be sheer madness. So I would stop looking for extreme information. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been on the rest train, and I don't know. This message came through though, even more like,
June is another rest month.
Put out into the world, resting with the dragonflies.
So cool. I love that energy too. The dragonflies are so peaceful, because even though they're like moving, they still feel peaceful. I don't know. There's that lazy day energy to seeing dragonflies. I don't know. It's really
That's
nice.
Very true. It's good to know they do wear funny little hats. The gnomes, there's a lot of elements. There's a lot of
like it.
Yeah, they like it because they enjoy it. There's a lot of elemental energy coming into, and gnomes are definitely the ones from whatever I've heard about them that historically were like had the most strongest connection to like toiling and like that kind of stuff. So I guess it makes sense that they would have this
little resting message.
A resting message. Oh, goodness. They are very cute. Okay, Taskmaster.
So funny. I haven't seen any more since the two I've watched, but I can at least attest to the fact that I love the show and it's amazing and people should watch it because it's really fun.
It's totally unhinged, and its sole purpose is just like silliness, chaos, joy. It's a British TV show. Well, now they've spread to other countries, but started off as a British TV show. It's hosted by 2 comedians, and then each season they bring on 5 new comedians as the contestants. And the contestants are assigned tasks by the Taskmaster that like they can range from like things that are kind of straightforward but difficult, like do something, it's a physical task without using your hands, to like creative things like you're going to create like a movie out of silhouettes, like using household items and you only have 20 minutes kind of thing. And then like stuff that's just like sort of like escape room obstacle race but like fiendish, and it's just so joyful and so funny. And everyone, especially in the early seasons when people didn't know much about, like they're just going on and not knowing what to expect and then just being put through the grinder. So like people push to their limit in terms of frustration, but it's very entertaining. But the wonderful thing about it is if you if you do horribly at a task, it's like wildly entertaining. And if you do, if you're really clever and ingenious, then it's like still really, so it's like, there's like there's no failing at Taskmaster, and none of the points matter. And there's no, like, the prizes that you win are like prizes that are brought in by the contestants as one of the things. They're very silly. And it manages to have like real emotional highs and lows.
But not overwhelming.
Not overwhelming, just hilarious. But you're like, oh no. There was this one season where there was one of the contestants was just always in the bottom, and it became a running joke. He was just like consistently just not doing well. And so there was a task, I think it was something like you had to get the basketball into a basketball hoop without using your hands or whatever.
Oh my God.
And so they were playing the videos back in front of the contestants, each one, and he went last. So if you go last, you either did really well or really badly. So it's like, oh God, this poor guy. And he just says, he's like, okay, I'll just, like, I think they had like 10 minutes or something. He's like, all right, why don't I just try to kick it in as a first attempt, and then I'll think of something else. And he just kicks it right in, and the crowd goes wild. Everyone's like, oh my God. It was like such a moment of victory for him. And then they're like, yeah, well, and then they showed like 40 times he tried before that, leading up to that. And
oh my God,
so it has hilarious. This is these like perfect moments, and like you get to say the different ways people's brain works. Like some people are like very straightforward, some people are completely impulsive, and they're just immediately like running off or like grabbing something, like the watermelon one where they just like they had to eat watermelon, and the person just like threw it down on the floor to break it open, and it splattered everywhere. Or some people are always like trying to find a way to like cheat. I just love it so much. It is bringing me so much joy, and it feels like it's like a big metaphor for how to live life. Like it's like, especially like post-karmic, it's like nothing,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And you're just going to try things, and some of them are going to be infuriating, and like some of them are going to be really fun, and like the outcome doesn't matter at all. You're just being a big goofball.
Exactly. I love it. And you did mention, I've only seen the first 2 episodes of the first season, but you do mention that like they get a little bit not better, but also better. Like, as it's not as cringy, like where they had to high five a 55-year-old, and it's like so awkward.
They in the first couple of seasons, there are a couple of tasks where they had to interact with the public, and they took those out because they're comedians. It's so good for my brain to have something to hyper focus on, and right now it's this. So I'm also listening to the Taskmaster podcast where they interview the contestants, and without fail, that those challenges were the ones that they loathed, and like some of them were willing to like walk off and be like, I'm not gonna do this, I don't want to have to with people. But they quickly cut those out. But it's just so creative to like, it just gets your creative juices flowing, and very silly people. You can watch every single episode in its entirety on YouTube. There's 15 seasons. Like, if you need something, it would have been a great thing to get into during the pandemic, but I'm grateful to have it now. But if you need something to like take your mind off of everything, if even character driven TV is too whatever, you can watch Taskmaster, and it's just pure joy.
It's good stuff. Get lost in it. It's so nice that it's on YouTube. Oh my God. I love being able to just not have a streaming service. For fuck's sake.
It is my dream. My dream is to live in a smallish community and design tasks for people to have to.
You'd be so good. I would love to witness all this. Like, oh my God. Yes. Silly little pranks, or what's our little group called? Silly little dares, or something like that.
There's also very interesting like power stuff, because the Taskmaster is the host, and he's this 6 foot, speaking of giants, 6'8" giant of a man, very funny. Greg Davies flirts with all of the contestants. And then his assistant, who he has this like very, like the assistant has like a very submissive role to him, and they're always playing that up, and he's always like putting him down and stuff. And his assistant is actually the creator of the show, who devises all the tasks and like watches over everybody when they do tasks. And so, and he's very uncomfortable with certain things, so they'll create tasks to make him uncomfortable. Anyway, it's just very interesting like dynamics of like
power dynamics.
Yeah, where he's willing to put himself in that thing and like be made incredibly uncomfortable. There's one
pretty
where
fun.
So the people had to make the best 1 minute video, and this woman got him to strip naked, wrapped him in saran wrap, and put him through this like tunnel so that it looked like he was being given birth to. It was incredible.
Wow.
It was incredible. She's such a good contestant. Oh my God. And also they have comedians of all different ages, and there is an older woman on one of the season who is so funny and is like the embodiment of no fucks to give, but also very creative, but just like sometimes they split them up into teams. So you had the 3 younger ones on the team, and then this older woman and this other older male comedian. I guess they were like both in their 50s or 60s. And this one was kind of like an obstacle course where they had to like, each task led to another task, and they had to go around the property and do them all, so that young ones are like racing around doing everything. And then the 2 older ones just stop in the kitchen, and they're like, one of the tasks was to make a sandwich, but they just make a really nice sandwich, and then they eat it, and they make themselves some tea, and they're just like tootling around with this, again, very Lemurian energy. It was very interesting to watch. And it just makes you feel like it's awesome. Like seeing people flail and panic and like all the things that like I know my brain would not, like my brain would read the clue incorrectly, or just not be able to think of things, or just be like, oh God, this isn't going to be entertaining to watch. I'm just like literally peeling an onion in front of a kid, you know, and seeing them do that and then it's still entertaining is like very fun. Soothing to the soul.
Yeah, I can't wait for the show you're going to make. I will help you, because
it definitely came into my life and awakened a part of me that I was like, whoa.
I can tell. I think I want to be like, I don't know, the assistant role or some sort of something, because I'm not yet super comfortable doing challenges, but I love being a part of it, and I want to like be a cheerleader. So I want to be a part of it for sure, but I'm going to watch other people do your tasks, because
you can time them.
I'll do some sort of administrator assistant type role. I'm good at that.
It just totally, I don't know, it was very revolutionary discovery for me. And has now become like, it's like it was never not part of my brain, you know, that type of thing where you're like, yes, the Taskmaster corner of my brain. Well, I guess I can put it out. I felt it earlier this year. I was like, I had the feeling, I was like, I want to do dares. I want to dare people to do things. Like I want to feel that energy of like silly dares. Anyway, I put a dare out. So I'll just put it out in case anybody hearing this needs to have a dare issued to them. And I had done it. I put it out because I spontaneously did it, and it was fun and like nice. Which was, you can either moon the moon, you can go out and moon the moon and yell at the moon, but you can also go out and moon the sun and yell at the sun. Now, my personal preference is to yell Merry Christmas. I think when I mooned the sun, I was like shouting insults at it or something.
You were shouting insults.
But the moon and the moon, Mike and I over the pandemic got into the habit when there was a full moon of occasionally we would go out after dark and take a walk, and I would get him to howl with me. And so it was a full moon and we went for a walk, and then we were there's this big bridge. It crosses over a highway and a river. And so we were over the highway part, but there was nobody on, it's like a pedestrian bridge. There was nobody on the bridge because it was 10 p.m. And I was like, perfect. I can just moon the moon. So that was the first time I did it. And it was very, very spontaneous. But then the next time it was more conscious. It was during the day. And I was like, am I going to do this because people kept crossing the bridge? But I was like, no, I'm waiting.
You're good.
And then finally there was like a period of, and I was like wildly looking both directions to make sure nobody was like going to come up and
see your naked butt.
Anyway, you don't, with the dare doesn't mean that you have to go find a similarly public place. You go in your deck or your backyard or wherever if it feels more comfortable. But that's my dare to anybody who feels like that would be fun for them. Moon the moon or moon the sun and shout something silly at the same time.
Yeah. I love Sun Portal is shouting insults at the sun like like a kid, like, excuse me, fuck you.
I don't know, I had to get something off my chest with the sun that day.
Apparently. Yeah.
But
I'm gonna plug in my phone and take headphones.
Yeah, no one in our dare group took me up on the dare yet. No one's taken me up on it yet. But if you do it, if you're listening to this and you do this dare, please send a text or a message or something, email us to let me know that you actually did it.
I want to know too. We'll read them on air.
I would definitely read that on air. I mean, if that's okay with people.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't have any headlines this week. I was thinking about the blue sky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good to just constantly put them out so that you're not thinking about them. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if I ever mentioned this on air, but I had one that was really cool where I walked into a coffee shop and I was going to get a coffee, and then I was standing at the cash and I was like, I'm going to have to I forgot to bring my mug from home. I'm going to have to get a disposable cup. I feel so shitty every time I do that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, they should like sell cups here. I was like, I should get a cup that's like, but then I don't want to like have to remember it. And I was like, there should be something. And I literally turned my head to the left, and like right in eye line was these little metal coffee cups with lids, and a thing that was like, check out this app. And it was a coffee mug, like a reusable coffee mug lending program where you have the app and you just take it out and then you bring it back and whatever, and then you just don't have to like worry about it at all. I was like, so that was a good example.
That's the one
of a quick turnaround. I don't know, can you think of anything you've been doing a lot of home repair, working on land stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm currently doing like trash goddessing at this old abandoned, currently being restored. I think it's about the same time period as my house, so late 1800s maybe. Anyway, and it's been abandoned for a long time, so there's been a shitload of trash. And anyway, I've been doing a lot out there. But now that the masons are out there doing the brickwork, I was like moving bricks yesterday for them, or not yesterday, Tuesday. Anyway, so it's been like a really fun manual labor, which is kind of what I enjoy in certain ways. I think I can push myself a little too hard, but I was definitely calling in experiences or opportunities to use my energy in a way that like drained it completely, so I would feel tired and like I used it in a good way. And then I all of a sudden got these offers to do literal manual labor, which feels like it's like a little bit of a workout, but not in like a body dysmorphic way. It's just like my energy feels good. My body feels good being used in that way. So I've been able to do that. I haven't really noticed anything that like I'm
trying to think. That is what you were asking me, right? Or did I just go off on some random tangent about?
No, yeah.
I feel like I'm doing grid work out there. Like,
yes,
there's some sort of history or something, or whatever needs to be done out there. I'm doing something interesting with the land.
yeah.
So
I think it was just that you kept mentioning new tools that you were getting introduced to.
I used a Sawzall for the first time, and everybody who heard that I was going to use a Sawzall was like so excited. They're like, "Oh my god, you're going to want to use it! You're going to want one for yourself!" And also, it's like a mini handheld, like sort of chainsaw thing. So I was super excited, and then I used it, and it's a very cool tool. Like it's not a huge chainsaw. You can literally hold it with. Well, I had to use it with 2 hands because that fucker. Whew, rattled my bones. My autism did not enjoy that overstimulation. But it was really cool. I felt kind of like a badass, like holding on, and like I was like this the whole time. But I like I cut through some. It literally saws through everything. So Sawzall. Anyway, it's just like I cut through a bunch of wood stuff and bathroom walls, and I felt like a badass. But no. And then on Tuesday, I was carrying out a bunch of bricks from the basement, and like I could save some, but I also had to throw some in the disposable pile because they weren't all savable. And so I was carrying them by hand. And then one of the masons was like, "I have this brick tongs. I'll show you how to use it." And I was like, "Okay." And it's they're literally tongs. And he said it at the smallest setting, which was for 7 bricks. And I was like, of course it's 7, because that number follows me everywhere. And you line the bricks up, and then put the tongs around each end, and then pick it up like a suitcase, and it relies on the tension. Like the bricks kind of hold themselves up. It's not like in a carry case or anything, but like, anyway, so it was just interesting, like using the physics of it, of the weight and the tension and the, something very manual. It felt like Lemurian time, honestly. Lemurian versus Atlantean. It was like the Sawzall was Atlantean, like some stuff. And then the brick tongs are like, let me just do it the old fashioned way, and no machinery.
I've got a blue sky. This brought it up. Listening to you. It's quiet construction. So
oh god.
I feel like it's going to be like lasers. Lasers are going to do a lot of stuff, drilling and cutting and work, because like eliminating the noise pollution of that kind of work, that actually feels Atlantean.
Yes.
I
full-heartedly, oh my gosh.
Yeah. That really, because like it's just going to be, I feel like it's going to start in East Asian countries, are maybe going to be the ones to come up with those technologies first for some reason that came through. But anyway, it just feels very like I feel like that the noise pollution is going to be something that city planners and city councilors and stuff, and everybody who like is involved in building communities are more and more aware of. And we're going to find those kinds of solutions. But also
wait for that.
Old techniques like going back to older methods that use physics to do stuff, but they're not like machine motor, loud motor based. Oh, that's really interesting. It just, as you were talking, I was awesome. Like, no, this is something.
Yeah. I definitely support that for 100,000%. And also trains, like silent trains, or at least quieter trains or something. And like, just the noise pollution. It's like the airplanes and the helicopters that I can't, the sirens and all that stuff. It's like,
which already, I think the trains in other countries, I think North America is like really behind on trains, and the trains in like everywhere else in the world are like way quieter and way faster and more efficient and like just better. This isn't a blue sky. This is just something that I saw in a vision once of like a potential future, that I'll just throw it out because it came to mind too, because when I was saying lasers. But it was, I was seeing people walking through revolving doors into like big, a building that a lot of people would walk through, communal buildings, like maybe a hub and stuff. And when you walk through, it's either a light frequency or a vibration or something that goes through you and neutralizes your entire field, including any pathogens or microbes. Like it's just like zoom. So it's like, instead of having to worry about airborne diseases and stuff, like you just pass through that and it's like zoop, it's out of you. And that's like, that came through. I don't have the know-how to describe it, but that's what I saw. It was like very, very simple. It's just, it's like, well, people pass through this every day, so tons and tons of people, so it's going to be there. And
yeah, my blue sky. So I want to do more of what you were describing with obsidian, the volcano sound chamber thing. Like that's what I want to do with music and all. I didn't even think about doing it with the volcano. I'm not saying I want to copy that idea exactly, but like that's a pretty good inspiration for what I was seeing already. For like I was seeing rooms with crystals in them, and they would carry the frequency to people and do clearing and all that stuff with ease and joy. And you're just kind of like having fun with the music and not thinking, oh, I have to go to my healing session. It's like, no, we're having a party, and it's like bonus, you're clearing out some density and shit. But I love like the volcano and the smells and in a way that's not overwhelming, but just it clears out the
oh my god, it was crap. So powerful. It did so much in such a short amount of time and left me so refreshed. Like yeah
good stuff. I want more of that.
And I love your idea with the crystals too, to incorporate those as well, and the party element.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
Just have a good old time, baby. Oh my god, love it. You know what, I was thinking, I even had this thought like a couple days ago where music has codes in it, and I always forget that for some reason, but then I remember it and I'm excited all over again. And I was thinking, oh, what if that's how I work with mushrooms? Like I put mushroom codes into the music, and like, it kind of comes up through the soles of your feet if you're standing on the floor, like in your root chakra or, anyway, I've just been thinking all kinds of stuff about how that works. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do this, but I'm assuming that it comes through whenever I access whatever memories I have and abilities. But that was definitely a thought I had.
That felt so really cool.
Fun. Yeah.
Mushroom ambassador.
So fun. I like the blue sky stuff. Blue sky building is my favorite segment. Well, I love all our segments. What am I talking about? I love our sponsors too.
I mean, I guess we can expect, some Gnome gifts from them too, because they were sponsoring us.
Thank you, Gnomes. Love you. Your funny hat.
Your funny little hats. It was when you talked about the mushrooms, because we were just talking about trains, that was reminding me of what you said earlier about something about in Japan they're using you said it, but I won't say what you said.
I learned about this a few years ago. I think it was actually a Paul Stamets interview, and so this is not a new thing, but it came back into my feed a couple days ago. So clearly the story is important to know for me right now, and just like spread it out. But basically Japan, when they were building out some railway system, I don't know if it was their metro or whatever it was, involved trains, and they wanted to know what the most efficient way of building it out was. So what they did was they made like a 3D map of their city, and then put some fungus, I can't remember which one, it was like a mold of some kind, I think, like a fungus, and it as it moved through the map, it like literally showed the city planners what the most efficient route for the trains would be, because the mushrooms were just like, oh, we got to move around here, this and that, and then the mushrooms gave them the map on how to build this amazing train system. And I was like, yes,
I love
mushroom wisdom. Right? So cool.
It's so cool.
Mushrooms are this very intelligent, they have a lot to show us, and I think a lot of people are listening right now, and it's awesome to hear about. So more and more of that coming through. I'll take it.
So nice.
Yeah.
We had the train toot as a special guest.
Yeah.
Were there any other special guests today? It was a kind of a
Pretty chill day.
A
You know
quiet-
what? Hold on. I might have something. If you can do a little
Yes.
ditty, I'll be right back.
little ditty. Now I feel like I'm on Taskmaster, and immediately this is what it would be. It would be me flailing in my mind, going 100% blank.
I'm back. I
Yes,
saved you.
thank you.
I saved you. So speaking of gnomes and moons, this is Butt
No!
Gnome. And you know, remember Ellen, the one that has given us the Pierre guest
She
appearance?
gives us a
as well as
special guest
Rascal?
every single
This
morning
is her
show.
mom. Her mom made that.
Oh my
And
god!
He literally called I did not call it the Butt Gnome. Ellen herself was like, my mom made the Butt Gnome. And so here's the Butt Gnome. And I forgot until you were.
If you're listening and not watching, his face looks like a butt.
It's pretty awesome.
He has a very low hat, and he's really cute. He's wearing like a woolen
Yes.
blue hat and a woolen blue cloak, and he's adorable.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank
So
you.
there you go.
Thank you, special
There you go.
guest.
Thanks for
Perfect
that.
special guest. What more did we need than an actual gnome? Did you hear me flailing around?
Yeah.
I was just on the cusp of starting a song about Herbert, who I guess would be another. Has Herbert ever featured before? Herbert,
Yeah.
the
We have not
the crystal dragon that Pearl gave us each a crystal dragon. And this is mine's Herbie.
Herbie.
Yeah, but
I'll
now
bring you there next time.
let me see.
Okay.
Herbert. Oh my god, this is so much harder. I don't know how any of them do any of it. It's like when someone's watching you too, it's just like okay.
I couldn't do it. I could not.
Herbert, no one is watching. Herbert, it's safe to be you. Herbert,
Oh.
you can be as creepy as your little heart chooses. It's coming out weird. Herbert, have no fear. Herbert, you are here.
Yay, Herbert.
Yay. Herbert, let your freak flag fly.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you,
That's-
Herbert.
Yeah, definitely some of my best work
Your
right
best
there. Whew, I'm like
Good message,
fully
though.
having a hot flash as well. Well, now I know how awful it is to be on the receiving end of a Taskmaster task, and I hope everybody enjoyed my sad attempt at singing a song on the spot.
Well, that was a good message at the end, though. The let your freak flag fly. That is 100%.
And who knew how creepy Herbert felt like me? That's
apparently.
it's very interesting.
Mhm.
He can be as creepy as he wants.
There's good creepy, you know. It's like the fun. I like the fun creepy. It's maybe that's a special weird Dread Pirate KK thing, but I do love this fun creepy.
Well,
Hello, creepy Herbert.
he's all ears, or he's all snoot to hear more about fun creepy. Oh yeah, this is like this angle. He's really showing off.
He's having fun. He's having fun.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Tune in with us next time. I think we're gonna have a normal audio episode soon coming too. So stay tuned for that coming up. Whenever I get around to posting it. Huzzah!
Huzzah! It was a great morning chat.
Yeah.
Morning space chat without morning or bitches boob.
Exactly.
We got the spirit alive. Spirit is alive.
But we let our freak flags fly. Goodbye,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye.
Wait. I don't want to. Well.